can't emphasize this strongly enough. Syria today is a humanitarian disaster. It is really a humanitarian disaster. The challenges that the government is now facing is enormous. And as you know this, there are now close to 17 million people in need of humanitarian assistance. We have refugees returning. We are internally displaced returning. They need to see that there is a future in Syria, and they need to see it quickly. We have seen now that there is a general license from the Americans. The European Union are doing the best they can, but we need immediately to fix the energy sector. We need to see that financial investments is possible. The central bank should no longer be sanctions. We need to see health. We need to see education, just to begin with. It will take time before the Americans are capable of addressing the question of sanctions in the broader sense. But while we are waiting for that to happen, we need to fix these other things. And for that to happen, we need more support to Syria, more economic and humanitarian support. And it's crunch time. This can't wait.
Thank you for mentioning that. I'm sure some of the questions will end. I'm going to pick up Minister Fidan because Geir Pedersen mentioned it as part of his array of issues that he's concerned about. You'll remember in those early days after the collapse of the regime, you had Israeli warplanes bombing. You also had Turkey involved in the north. And I think many asked, well, is this the right time to be engaging militarily in Syria at a time when it was trying to take back its sovereignty? And I know Turkey has said it has specific concerns about the Kurdish groups, but is it being unhelpful that you are so still engaged militarily along your border?
Well, as we have seen the transition period is going on. Of course, we are recalculating every step that we are taking in Syria. Our primary objective and occupation at the moment regarding Syria is how to help them in reconstruction and how to get the economy back again, and then rebuilding the government institutions. Those are very important issues that we are trying to do our best with international and regional community. In terms of our military engagement, as you know, we've been engaging with our army just to protect the population who were living under opposition control. We were talking about 5 million people that time. So that was a result of Astana process, and I think today all the people that we were there to protect, now, thanks God, they are ruling the country altogether. Hopefully, a bright future is waiting for them. Then there is only one remaining issue for us in terms of security. I think we are also expecting our friends in Damascus to address this issue, not to leave us, is to get rid of PKK-YPG. Because PKK-YPG is a big threat, like Daesh, to Syria and the entire region, because the international terrorist fighters from Turkey, from Iraq, from Iran, now they are packed and fueled in northern Syria, and they are disguising themselves under the pretext of fighting against ISIS. There is no fight against ISIS. There is a prison services to provide to the American military, because there is no other place to put the Daesh prisoners in prison. So this has been chosen a place to put the prison. But you cannot allow these people to occupy 1/3 of the country and to sit on the oil and gas fields, to rob the country, not to allow the central government and millions of the other Syrians not to benefit from the oil and gas. So this should end. This is not only a national security threat to us, but also a big problem for our region.
Yes. And it is a question that you have to resolve, not just with the Syrian authorities, but with the American authorities who are backing the YPG. And we don't want to spend this to dominate our discussions, but are you working with the Trump administration, President Trump's administration, on resolving that conundrum, which is at the expense, I think, of Syria?
Well, we have started talking with the Trump administration. We actually had detailed discussions with the previous administration towards their end of their term. But now Trump administration is just settling down, and I had my first, in-person meeting with Secretary Rubio yesterday, and my other colleagues are meeting with their counterparts. So hopefully we'll come to terms.
Okay. Before I go to just one comment from you, Hind. I mean, the United Nations is very keen to get involved. How much outside support, and in particular the UN, does Syria need in helping in this transition? Or can Syrians do it on their own?
Thank you for the question, but I need to comment something about the Kurds, because this is the ongoing questions about the Kurds. Kurds are part of the Syrian people, and we are consider them Syrian citizens and proud of this. But to have their own army, to have their own place, this is against our unity. And reality is, if every single group will keep their militia and keep their army, we're going to end up like the scenario of Iraq. And for us, the last thing we want to have the scenario of Iraq. So we need one army who respect the humanitarian law and not to kill their own people like what Assad regime did. So their duty is to protect us in one humanitarian law. This is number one. Number two, as your question about outside, this is a Syrian-led. We need it to be Syrian-led. We need it to be a process of Syrian. First of all, we do respect the EU, what they did for us over the last 14 years. They stand by us. They've been supporting us. Turkey, they did so much for us, sometimes over all of them. And we appreciate our Saudi Arabia brothers and sisters. They are amazing. They are supporting us. But we have also our sovereignty, and we need to have our process alone. They are part of the security, part of our partners, and I like now what they did in the new government. We have this open door diplomacy.